A to the K.
to the K.
To the K.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to the A to the K Wrestling Show. Joining us today is the 2024 NXT Match of the Year winner and the man behind the Dijak Wrestling Academy, the disruptor himself, the one and only Donovan Dijak. Thanks for being here, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, we are good.
Thank
we are
you.
good.
So we'll just dive right in if we could. And obviously, we've seen a number of wrestlers open up training schools over the years, but an online wrestling academy is a different beast. So we just wondered what inspired you to take this approach and what gap in the industry are you looking to fill?
Yeah, so this was actually heavily inspired by my acting coach, Howard Fine. He's one of the premier acting coaches in the entire world. He's he's had, a client list. He's out of Hollywood and he's widely regarded, right? Like I started looking for an acting coach in I think 2019, 2020. And if you start to, do a real deep dive into it, he's a name that comes up over and over and over again. And I saw that he was offering online classes, and I said, "Oh wow, I didn't know acting was something that you could learn online." Probably the same way that people go, "Oh, I didn't know that pro wrestling was something that you can learn online."
Mhm.
Which, for the record, acting and professional wrestling are not something that you can exclusively learn online. That's
Yeah.
not the impression that I want to bestow upon people, nor is it the impression that Howard wants. Like we talk constantly about actually doing the art in person and like
Mhm.
getting the proper amount of in-person training and things like that. Acting, it's a little more, you can get a little bit more accomplished. Pro wrestling, I don't want to make any bones about it. Like I tell everyone very clearly, like this is not going to prepare you to wrestle a match in a ring. There's a
Yeah.
major physical element to professional wrestling that we can't cover online, right? So
Yeah.
I'm very clear about, right? It's not like in the advertising, but like when you get to the meat and potatoes of it, if you want to look at our frequently asked questions or if you have a 15-minute consultation with me or something, I'm very forward about that.
Yeah.
But what people I think don't understand is that there's a huge part of professional wrestling that's mental and learning and applying concepts and psychology and even about the physicality. We can talk about the physicality and some of the pitfalls and things that I see. So basically, what I want this academy to be is I want it to be an introduction to professional wrestling for those who've never done any sort of training of professional wrestling, whether it's mental or physical or anything like that, or for it to be a supplemental sort of accessory to those who are currently training, right? Because if you're training at a school and they're giving you feedback, then I can be kind of reinforcing a lot of those and giving you new insight and giving you things to work on, right? If you've been hitting the ropes one way, I can give you a technique that will help you hit the ropes and then you can run it by your trainer and you guys can work on it together in the ring, right? It's all working together. Or if you're someone who's already trained to be a professional wrestler, this can be a recap of everything. I can cover things that you're thinking about on shows that you've been doing not necessarily as effectively as you could possibly be doing them for a long time, and now you're getting a fresh look on things. And we talk about promos, we talk about psychology, there's all sorts of aspects of professional wrestling that we can cover over
Yeah.
this sort of space in this medium. And I just felt like there wasn't enough of that, right? The same way that
Yeah.
I feel like there's not enough of that in the acting space, right? I
Yeah.
love I love Howard and I love training with him. I took a lot of his model because I was like, this is so effective for me. I didn't
Yeah.
realize how effective it would be, but he's such a wonderful mind for the acting business. And my thought process was, man, I feel like this is a space, which isn't to say that I invented the concept of talking about pro wrestling over Zoom. I just wanted to give it a fresh approach in terms of an 8-week course where we can start to break down the different sessions of it. And I'm integrating different things in terms of like one-on-one sessions. And I'm going to be introducing hopefully this week another aspect of the school that I'm very excited to premiere and debut. So yeah, obviously it's a work in progress. It just started I'm only on week 3. I just finished up class 1 of week 3. So I'm hyped talking about it. I love everyone who's taken the class is super excited about it. No, nobody feels like they've gotten the wool pulled over their eyes or anything like that.
Yeah.
I understand. I've talked to a few of my colleagues, and there was an understandable level of like, is he joking? Like he's going to teach people how to be a wrestler online? I, and I want it to be clear that this is not a scam of some sort, right? I know there's a lot of that in the world of professional wrestling. Believe me, I've been
Yeah.
around the business for 13 years now, and I know that there's a lot of carny, like, hey, pay me $300 and I'll teach you how to wrestle, kid. And then you get a bunch of war stories or whatever, right? I've lived through that. I've experienced that. That's not what we're doing here, right? I talk at length. It's interactive. I'm able to spend the first hour of class talking about psychology and match structure and all sorts of different. Here's a technique you can use for feeding that's more effectively with your feet. There's just all sorts of things that we can talk about in the realm of professional wrestling. And to boot with that, I've been given a massive opportunity by the school I work for, the New England Pro Wrestling Academy in North Andover, Massachusetts, where they're giving everybody $500 off who signs up and completes the course with the Dijak Wrestling Academy. So if you want, you can even continue your education and become an actual in-ring professional wrestler with me and with the school at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy for a discounted rate. So it's a wonderful collaborative system. I think we're covering all sorts of aspects of the world of professional wrestling that people haven't gotten a deep dive into. And I've been very fortunate throughout my career to train with, every legend under the sun. Man, I've done skull sessions with The Undertaker. I've done skull sessions with Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, the X-Pac, Christian. The list goes, because I was at the PC I was in WWE for 7 years, and I was at the PC for 5 of them. So like the amount of people that filter into that place and give us feedback and give us knowledge. I mean, that's not even taking into account all the people I spent months coaching under. And these are the people that are still coaching in the performance center in the WWE system. So yeah, it's a ton of feedback. And that's discounting Ring of Honor, where I got a ton of experience. So I have all of this feedback in my head that I can uh, formulate into a structure where I can help other people to see professional wrestling in a new light. Because at the end of the day, it's all subjective. There's no right or wrong. I'm not going to tell you, here's the only way to do it. I'm going to give you a lot of the tools that I've been provided with to maybe give you an alternative approach and a newfound experience and a way to assert yourself as a professional wrestler. And I just think it's such a great opportunity for both me to be able to communicate these things and to be able to learn myself, because I learn as I interact with anybody, and the opportunity for the students to learn from me as well. And I just think it's a wonderful ecosystem.
Yeah, I love it. It reminds me of like obviously when you're learning to drive, you've got like your theory and your practical, and like the tie-in with the school as well. You can do a lot of
That might have been quite British, that
yeah. Whatever the American version of that.
No,
is,
I understand it.
kinda...
No, so I was thinking about this the other day. Like, if someone came out with like a book, maybe this exists. I don't know. It's like Pro Wrestling for Dummies or Learn to be a Pro Wrestler or something. It's a book. No one would like criticize that book. They wouldn't be like, "Oh, you idiot! You can't learn to be a pro wrestler from a book." They would just understand that it's a book, and nobody actually learns how to do. Right? There's like Acting for Dummies, like the book. No one thinks they're going to read the book and they're like, "Oh, now I'm ready for Hollywood." Like off I go.
Yeah.
Right? We understand that it's just like suggestions based on knowledge and things like that. Well, this is very much the same thing. I think people just get really caught up because pro wrestling is so physical that they're like, oh, you can't teach physicality through a basket, through a computer. And the reason I said basketball is because I was thinking of basketball, because I was a basketball player for a long. This is like, people do webinars about basketball, right? Nobody's under the impression that you're going to learn how to hit a jump shot, but if you have tactics that you can apply to your jump shot, and maybe it improves as you're working over the course of time with a trained coach, that can be an asset, that can be a valuable tool, right? And the school isn't priced at a level where it's like, oh, this is going to teach you, right? Here's the you're paying to learn how to be a pro. It's very affordable in terms of supplemental schooling and accessory training. So that's kind of what I want it to present as, and I want to just sort of make sure that that's well established.
Yeah.
No, of course. I mean, as you say, the sort of I dare say bespoke element of it, where you like they can sort of get your perspective if it's an area they're struggling on, and that sort of thing. I think that's really sort of where it works. Like you say, likening it to the sort of book element, being able to get your insight and that interaction is the key part of it from my perspective anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I think as well, you've mentioned obviously the amount of knowledge you have and who you've worked with and anything like, and everyone in the business. Well, what do you think is something from the academy? Like what level of training can you give that they're not going to find anywhere else?
I think a ton of what I can provide that you can't get at most levels is perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because there's wonderful trainers all across the world, right? You can if you want right now, if you have enough money and you want to fly, or if you're in the area, you can go train with the WWE champion right now. He has a school. It's a great school. He's a good friend of mine. Both of them are good friends. I know QT very well. I know Cody very well. We both wrestled tons of times. We've both been on the road together for a very long time. I speak to both of them. Excellent school and train. If anyone asks me like, hey, where should I train? That's usually one of the, if you're like in the geographic area whatsoever,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
usually right at the top of my list, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say like, no, I know more than anybody who's ever, no, that's not what I'm saying, right? That's not, do I have a ton of experience working with tons of people at a very high level? Yes, I do. But you have options in terms of that. I think just to answer the question, I think what I bring to the table is a lot of perspective, right? Because whereas some people have had success at high levels or accomplished things at certain time periods, I've been more of the person who's had to, what's the correct term? I've had to continually overcome, right? I've had to sort of fight for positions and opportunities, and I've had success, but I've had setbacks, right? A lot of the things that a lot of people in professional wrestling can relate to. And I'm not saying those other people didn't have to overcome and didn't have setbacks, but they're just it's a different variety of overcoming and a different variety of setbacks, right? I feel like I can speak very heavily on the modern day style of professional wrestling, intertwined with how do you approach that style and still accomplish it effectively, even if you're not in a position where you as a character are being featured heavily in the storylines and things like that, right? And this is a big piece of professional wrestling, right? If you're at the top of the card and you're in the championship match or whatever, that's a lot different than if you're at the middle or the bottom of the card and it's like, oh, by the way, also like your performance in this match is going to dictate a lot of how your career goes, right? As opposed to, we have a set plan for you and here's where you're going to end up and things like that. Like I don't have the experience that Seth Rollins has, for example. He has another school in the Midwest. If you're anywhere in the Iowa area, I immediately point you to Black and Brave because it's right. You're not going to get higher levels of experience than these guys who've wrestled throughout Japan, had championships in Ring of Honor, had the current champions in WWE, right? They've done everything at that very high level, main evented WrestleManias and stuff. I don't have that experience. The experience I have is from a different aspect of the business, but I feel like there's a real level of relatability in terms of that perspective that I have. And that's what I want to be able to effectively communicate through the Dijak Wrestling Academy, right? Is that level of perspective, that level of understanding, that level of here's the things you can control, here's the things you can't control. Don't worry about these things that you can control. If they happen, that's great. If they don't happen, here's what you can control and here's how you can circumvent it and here's how you can try to work on it and here's some tools that can maybe prepare you for if and when you get these opportunities. But you may not, right? There's a lot of perspective that goes in the world of professional wrestling. And I think that my experience over the course of time has been unique enough where I can provide those sort of tools and those tips of like, hey, I've learned from X, Y, and Z, and I've been able to have, like you guys mentioned, like match of the year level caliber matches and stuff. And I've also suffered the pitfalls of WWE didn't need me anymore, and they said, we're moving on from you. How do I deal with those sort of setbacks in life, and how can I try to continue to persevere in a space that doesn't see me in the same light that I see myself? Different questions like that. We all have our own perspectives and we all have different things, and I hope that I bring a lot of that to the table with the Dijak Wrestling Academy, because I'm just like my students, right? We're all one and the same. I learn from them as much as they learn from me, and I love the system, and I love the opportunity, and it's such a blessing and a pleasure that I was able to have those opportunities to learn from those people and to be able to circumvent a lot of that perspective down onto them.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, 100%. So obviously, we touched on it at the beginning about you being involved in the NXT Match of the Year. You've just sort of alluded to it then as well. And I appreciate it can be subjective, but in your opinion, what would you say makes the perfect match?
It's funny that you mentioned that. We actually just talked at length in class. I was talking about match structure, match psychology, and when I got to the finish, just because I was talking about the structure of a match and how we put it together and stuff, and I was wrapping it up, I said, our goal in professional wrestling a lot of the time is to present the perfect fight, right? Not because it's a simulated fight. I didn't use the word perfect match. I used the word perfect fight because ultimately that's what we're simulating, right? We're simulating a fight between two people, and like, what would that look like if it was perfect, right? If all of a sudden the punch connected at the exact time and it elicited a perfect reaction, right? And I compared it to football and I compared it to basketball, and what is and again, it's all subjective, right? And I use the example of I'm a big Patriots fan. I don't know how familiar you are with American football or the National Football League, but that's the biggest sport here in America. And my team's the New England Patriots. And like 6 years ago, we were in the biggest game here, which is called the Super Bowl, and it was against the Atlanta Falcons. And in my opinion, that's the greatest football game I've ever seen, because my team got down way behind, and then the psychology of being able to fight back but overcome the pitfalls, and at the last moment so to me, that's the greatest football game I've ever seen. To an Atlanta Falcons fan, right, to Cody Rhodes,
different story.
We've never seen. So so it's all about perspective, right? But to me, that's like sort of the underdog, like coming from behind. And again, the Patriots were not the underdog, but in that match, in that game, they were. So the perfect, we're always striving to put on, or at least I am. I'm always striving to put on the perfect fight, because I feel like if you simulate that properly, then that's the perfect match to watch. That's always the goal, with the knowledge of understanding that it's never going to happen. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, right? I can watch that match back right now, and even though I loved it, and even though I thought it was amazing, and I thought it deserved to be match of the year, because everybody who's involved in it, from Oba to Josh to Daryl the ref to Matt Bloom to Shawn Michaels, we all worked very collaboratively and very hard to put together that match and try to create what we believed was the perfect timing and opportunity given the confines that we were given. The knowledge is there to understand that I can watch it back and I could have done this better, and I wish I had done this here, and I wish because we're always striving for more, always constant self-evaluation, self-improvement. So yeah, I don't think there is a perfect match or anything like that, but we always strive to do it. And if I'm going to do things that work in that direction, I'm looking for emotional moments. I'm looking for physical moments, emotion, physical, storytelling. I want everything to wrap together. I want everything to make sense. And then I want to what I like to call the bait and switch. I like to set up as many. This is usually done on the back end. I like to set up as many surprises for people as I possibly can. And a surprise can be something small, like when a kick hit someone's face, it made a really loud noise that surprised them. They didn't see that coming, right? Or it can be something as big as Dijak hits his established finisher on Obafemi, and then he's pinning, and then the ref is about to count 3, and then he slides out the back, and you don't know what happened, and then you see that Josh Briggs pulled him, right?
Yeah.
That's a big surprise, right? 'Cause you didn't see that. You thought I'd miss, or you thought that he would kick out, and then his shoulders don't move, and then the ref goes flying. You're like, what happened to the ref, right? So all of those are just elements of bait and switch, bait and switch, bait and switch. We lead you into a direction, into thinking that one thing is going to happen, and then something else happens, and that's exciting, right? It's an emotional roller coaster for people. So the more efficiently and effectively I can give the fans and the viewers those moments, right? A big one, and we talk about finishes all the time. Like the finish, we want that to be the most one of, if not the most memorable portions of a match, right? So we blocked that out endlessly at the end when I was covering Josh. We set the whole thing up. I very specifically put Oba in a position where he was down and out of sight so that we could do the business in the middle of the ring. And then we had the camera in the ring just so his arm would come into view with the camera blocked the way that it was. We walked through that a lot, and yeah, and I had to make a decision at that moment. Like, is it more important to do this for the audience at home, whereas the crowd in the arena will see him entering the ring and coming behind the cameraman, obviously. There's all sorts of ways to assess a professional wrestling match. I'm very happy with that outcome. I think we all did our best and put on a really memorable performance. And I've talked to a lot of fans about it. A lot of people who were there that night, and they all have a lot of positive things to say about it. So yeah, longest answer in the world to your question, but yeah,
oh, no problem.
The goal is always to strive for perfection with the understanding that you'll never make it, but to be satisfied and happy with your effort and the outcome.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating to get that insight into everything that goes into it. You've been announced for Ben and Hart over here in the UK, in our neck of the woods in Liverpool, in March against Robbie X. How much are you looking forward to coming over in front of the UK fans?
Extremely. I can't wait to wrestle Robbie again. I had the opportunity to wrestle him for Rev Pro. It was amazing. He's so talented. I got to wrestle him in York Hall, which is one of my favorite venues. I hadn't been back there for a long time. I think I wrestled Jay White in York Hall like forever ago. But yeah, it's always an amazing opportunity. Robbie's so tremendous. I think he's joined the Bullet Club since I last wrestled him, so that'll be a fun new wrinkle into our matchup. He's tremendous. Burning Heart has been tremendous to me. I can't wait for that tournament, for that weekend. It's going to be such a blast. You know, I'm everything is trending in a great direction for me right now. I'm so excited for my opportunities in the UK scene. I just finished up a tour with OTT in Ireland. That was a blast. I've been doing a lot of heavy work with MLW that you alluded to with the Disruptor character and moniker and stuff like that. So I'm super excited about the things we have on the horizon. There's some things that haven't been announced yet with MLW that are going to be huge, sort of groundbreaking news that we're collaborating on right now. Yeah, it's going extremely well and positively, and I'm super happy and thankful to be in the position that I'm in right now, because it all ties back to a lot of opportunities I got before WWE that I got while I was in WWE. And that's the thing about pro wrestling. And this is a lot of what I want to talk about in terms of what I can provide from a unique perspective with the Dijak Wrestling Academy is a lot of people view certain things as like overall negative, right? Like I get approached at merch tables a ton. It's like, oh man, you know, WWE, you know, they should have kept you on. They should have done that. At the end of the day, it's a business decision, right? I of course I wanted to stay. I made that very clear in the letter that I wrote and things like that. But there was a ton of things that happened in WWE that are helping me to this day, right? Whether it be the picture of me in the jacket and the glasses with that character that you have behind you there, which and the glasses which are part of the Dijak Wrestling, all of that wouldn't exist without the opportunity that I was given in 2022 from Triple H and Bruce and Shawn Michaels and Johnny. I don't know what I'd be doing if I had been, if Vince McMahon had just been like, oh, you're released, you're T-bar and you're useless, you're gone, right? That easily
Yeah.
could have happened. That happened to my friend Shane Hayes, he was Slapjack, right? And they were just like, oh, we got nothing for you, you're gone. And then he had to dig out of this hole, and he has, because he's outstanding. And he's a trainer at the New Japan Academy in California. He's all over New Japan. He was the IWGP Tag Champions because he's outstandingly gifted, but he was put in a much worse position than I was, right? I got very fortunate and very lucky in a lot of senses. So it's good to have a lot of perspective in the world of professional wrestling, right? Because you never know how something's going to go. I could tell you 100, I'm not going to, but I could tell you 100 stories about people who are top people. And I mean like the tippy top of the professional wrestling world right now who were on the chopping block 5 years ago. We for sure thought these people were going to be fired. And they were talked extensively about being released. And then just something happened, right? That's the perspective that I'm talking about in the world of professional wrestling. Because we think we like to populate these ideas in our mind that like if I work hard and if things go perfectly, it's a business. And it's yes, working hard can pay off in certain circumstances. Sometimes it doesn't. And how do I navigate those waters, right? That's a big piece of this. And sometimes you watch people who aren't working as hard as you and they have success, right? How do I navigate those waters, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes into the world of professional wrestling, and it's choppy waters, but it's good to have lots of perspective and to be able to understand a lot of that. So right now, I'm very thankful for all the positive things that happened to me, and but I'm also aware of some of the shortcomings that I had, and what part of that was luck, and what part of that was my responsibility, and how I can fix those things going forward, and like prove people wrong and things like that, right? So it's a big double-edged sword, but the goal is to navigate it as efficiently as possible, and that's exactly what I hope to do through the Dijak Wrestling Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
No, definitely like really positive mindset too, isn't it? That's the main thing. So obviously, Carl mentioned that being over in our neck of the woods. I believe you'll also be putting your training expertise to use and run a seminar while you're over here in Manchester. I just wonder what you'd be looking for from the trainees in attendance.
100% effort. That's it. I don't need you to be the greatest wrestler in the world. I don't need you to be the most charismatic person in the world. I need nothing besides 100% effort. If you're going to mess up at full speed, right? Nothing I do puts anyone in an unsafe position, right? I've told everyone that my number one priority is safety, always. That should be every pro wrestler's number one priority. Unfortunately, it's not sometimes in the world of professional wrestling. It should be, right? That should be the number one priority is keeping your opponents safe. And keeping yourself safe too, for that matter. I just want 100% effort. If you give me 100% effort, then I'm going to give you 100% focus and feedback. I'm going to give you that regardless. Even if you give me 80% effort, I'm still going to. But like, if you're going full speed and giving me everything that you have, then I'm hyper focused on what we can do to give you the tools to continue to progress in the correct direction, right? That's all my goal is. Almost everything is going to be in ring. I used to do a ton of seminars where people would just yap the whole time, and I was like, wow, what a complete waste of money that was. I don't want to waste people's money. I know I was you, right? For anyone who's watching this who is thinking about doing a seminar or is doing a seminar with me, I was you, right? I can give you the story right now to save you from wasting your money and time when we're actually in the seminar. In 2013, I lost so much money in the world of professional wrestling. I was working 3 jobs just so I could afford training, and then and gas prices in the United States were for anyone who wants to do the conversions or whatever, it was almost $5 a gallon of gas here. I don't know what the conversion is, but whatever gas prices are right now is like double that. So I was losing so much money driving around, going to shows, not getting paid for these shows, going to set up the ring, going to do seminars. So when I spent my money on a seminar, it was like a please give me something I can use here, or please at least give me a connection to someone that I can email and establish some sort of rapport, and maybe it can help me in the future in some capacity. And when I paid money and that didn't happen, which probably about half the time was the case, where I would just pay money and they would just yap about nothing and you'd get nothing out of it. That's a super disappointing feeling. And it was always the same. I would always go with my friends, then we'd go to each other after and be like, "Well, that was a complete waste of money and time." And then you don't forget stuff like that, right?
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
not going to, but I could give you the list of people who did this to me, and all me and all my friends could do the exact, because we don't forget. We don't forget people who are carny to us and who basically steal our money and things like that. If anyone has ever felt that way about me or a seminar, I want you to publicly call me on it, and I want you to bury me alive, because I promise you I've never done that before in my life. I treat everyone with the exact same respect that I wanted to be treated with, and I want to over deliver on everything that I ever do with anyone. I'm going to open that door for anyone to do it, because I guarantee that no one will. I've never wasted anybody's time. I end every seminar by asking if there's anything I possibly could have done better. I give everyone my email, my direct contact. Just I can't help enough, right? For anyone who wants to invest in me, I promise you I'm going to invest in you tenfold. And that goes for every seminar I ever do. That goes for every time I ever get booked on a show. If a company wants to hire me or pay me money, I always take them the same mindset to everything. And that's, I'm going to reciprocate what's been given to me tenfold. That's just my approach to this business and my approach to life. And I hope that that reflects in everything I do, including the Dijak Wrestling Academy.
Yeah, I love that. You come across obviously very incredibly genuine. That's great to see. Obviously, MLW confirmed you for Battle Riot as well in April. What are your thoughts on that? How do you plan to outlast 39 other men?
It's gonna a lot of cardio, I guess. It's gonna be an adventure, man. That's such a wonderful concept. I'm so excited for everything with MLW. This is my first time going out to the West Coast with MLW, so I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited about the opportunity in the Battle Riot. I think that's gonna be tremendous. I think it's gonna be a great weekend. Um, it's actually a very busy weekend for me. I got a lot of stuff going all over the place that week, but better to be booked and busy than not, right? I'd rather
Yeah,
that
of course, yeah.
opportunity. Everything with MLW is going so well. I've had so much communication with Court. We talk almost every day about different business opportunities, and just lots of things in the pipeline. I told you there's a lot of me and my manager, Saint Laurent, have a wonderful relationship. I think he's been a tremendous asset to me and the character development that I wanted to establish. There's been so much positive communication. Battle Riot's going to be amazing. I've wrestled Matt Riddle obviously a million times. I have no doubt that we'll find each other in that Battle Riot match as well. And quite frankly, since the second I walked through the door, I've been saying that I'm going to be the next MLW champion. And Matt was the next MLW champion, but that championship has my name written on it. I'm gonna show everyone, and I'm gonna prove to everyone that what I believe about myself is to be confirmed as true, and that's I genuinely believe that I'm the best professional wrestler on earth. And I need the accolades and the opportunity to prove that, right? And I think that starts with becoming the top guy in a major promotion, a major champion, and showing that I can carry a company on my back. And that's what I plan on doing with MLW.
Love that.
Awesome. Yeah. So you obviously you mentioned before you briefly your time in Ring of Honor, and obviously you were a mainstay in Ring of Honor before signing with WWE. So I was just curious, have you had a chance to see much of Ring of Honor lately, and what your thoughts are on the sort of current iteration?
Absolutely. I've seen a ton of Ring of Honor lately because
Yeah.
my best friends in the professional wrestling business are MXM, Mason,
Of
Matt,
course.
and Mansoor.
Yeah.
So I watch a ton of Ring of Honor now. Yeah, I think it's a tremendous product. I think it's a tremendous opportunity. I'm glad that I don't know the full inner workings of it. I know there was some financial issues with Sinclair, and a lot of my friends who were in Ring of Honor, unfortunately, were no longer in Ring of Honor. I know there was some discrepancies there, and I don't have the full story of what happened there, but I know that it's doing well now. I'm glad it's on a platform where it's being seen. I'm hopeful that it continues to trend in that upward direction.
Yeah.
Because it's always hard to sort of uh navigate like popularity of something versus like revenue,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
opportunities and things like that. I know that they get to wrestle in front of big crowds. I don't know if it
Mm.
has that level of, and again, it's different things replace different things, and it's hard to compare like 2014 and 15 and 16 to 2024, 25, 26.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say like is a Ring of Honor champion in today's day and age, is that the same level as a Ring of Honor champ? They're probably making more money, but I don't know who's more it's hard to it's like
Yeah.
comparing apples to oranges. But that's across the whole industry, right? I assess
Yeah, of
that stuff
course. Yeah.
MLW with TNA, with NXT, even within WWE, it was like where are we in terms of NXT, in terms of how does that compare to AEW, and how does that compare to Monday Night Raw? And but you're thinking about money, you're thinking about fan reach, you're thinking about prestige, you're thinking about just all different sorts of things. And I'm saying maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only wrestler who thinks about this. I'm pretty sure most people think about it. And I know a lot
Yeah.
of fans think about it. It ends up turning into the tribalism thing, which is kind of not so great. Um,
Yeah.
I'm I'm just a big fan of everything, right? And there's obviously I have the vested interest between my best friends being there and stuff, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think that everything in pro wrestling is just in a great ecosystem right now, where it all sort of builds off of each other, and I just think that's tremendous. So again, a long answer to your question, but yeah, I'm enjoying a lot of the Ring
Yeah.
of Honor.
No, yeah. No, I think you're right. Other than, as you say, the tribalism, I
Mhm.
couldn't agree more. It is a great sort of space at the minute for wrestling, especially the way the indies are and how accessible it all is now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, thanks so much for your time. I think lastly from us, obviously, what a tear that you've been on, obviously in MLW and obviously with the Dijak Wrestling Academy and promotions all over the globe. What does the rest of 2025 kind of look like for you? Any kind of dream matches, any kind of big things you're looking to achieve?
It's interesting at this point in my career when people talk about dream matches, right? It's like
Wrestled everyone.
it's not a yeah. There's not a ton left. Obviously, there's a lot of great wrestlers that I haven't had the opportunity to wrestle, and I'd love that opportunity to be able to get in the ring with them. Um, but like when someone, the funny part is that a lot of those names are because at this level, um, those names are like probably 95% of them are signed to a company where they don't appear outside of that company, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's AEW or TNA or WWE, right? That's like 90% of my dream. Like I'd love to say, oh, I'd love to wrestle uh, Randy Orton. I'd love to have a singles match with Randy Orton. I had a little bit of stuff with him on Monday Night Raw, but it was never like a singles match.
Yeah.
Um, but he's like a friend that I talked to in the back and got feedback from constantly. And we have a good relationship where I'd love to have a singles match with him. But like if a promoter comes to me and they're like, hey, what's your dream match? I'm not gonna be like, Randy Orton, can you book him? Right. So so like
Yeah.
when someone says like, hey, what's your dream? I like to think practically. So my mind goes to like three or four names of guys who I just see and I enjoy their work and I know that's a plausible possibility. These are guys like Conan Lycan, Shane Mercer. Uh, honestly, it's not a massive list. Kevin Blackwood, guys who I've not had the because I've been in this business so long, and I'm like the matchups guy, right? Like people love like me and a big guy, me and a small guy, me and a guy that
Yeah.
says so. So I've wrestled like so many people. I went backstage at AEW and like I'd wrestled almost everybody there. A handful of, and this is a company I have never worked for. So that to me, I was like, oh, I've been wrestling for a very long time. Ring of Honor, same thing. You look across the roster, it's like, oh, I've wrestled like all their champions and so so it's like, so yeah, the stuff I look forward to the most is the first time matchups against guys that I'm super like excited about their progress, or if it's someone who's like brand new. Like I love that. I love wrestling someone who's like brand new and just needs like their first big match sort of style, like main event type experience. That to me, I'm like a kid in a candy shop because I know that they're like super on board for there's a huge opportunity for them, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get their ideas because they're going to have a fresh perspective on wrestling. They're not there just to get through the match and to just, hey, here's the 6 things I do and I do them every week. They're not in that phase of pro wrestling yet. They're just like, I can do this thing and I'd love to reverse you into that. I'm like, that sounds awesome, right? What a great idea. But what if we do it this way? What if we shape it this way, right? So that's my favorite stuff to do in pro wrestling nowadays. Those are kind of my dream matches, honestly, is like getting someone who wants to have a great match. That's really but yeah, there's a short list of people who are like readily available that I'd love the opportunity to get in the ring with as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant though. Great way to look at it, isn't it? Honestly, thank you so much for taking the time, fresh off, just having done one of the Dijak Academy sessions as well. So honestly, really appreciate it. Just before we let you go, just let everyone know how they can obviously keep up to date with the academy and everything else you've got going on.
Oh yeah, everything's through the website dijakwrestling.com. I'm still fine tuning everything, and it's difficult because I'm an active professional wrestler who's very busy. So I tried to find like the best days to do this, and we settled on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But like nailing down 8 weeks in a row is so difficult for me. So I'm trying my best to create like a real solid schedule that I can stick to as much as I possibly can. But I also have 2 kids and stuff. So I'm doing my very best. I will announce the next block of sessions very, very soon. It's going to be in that April-May sort of window of time. So that'll be up on the website very soon. I think I maybe put the dates up there, but I need to update the links and stuff. The website is dijakwrestling.com. If you have any questions at all, you can email me directly at bookdijak. No, I'm sorry. That's my booking email. The website email is dijakwrestling@gmail.com. All that goes directly to me. We can set up a 15-minute consultation where I'll talk to you in person. I'm happy to do that. We can discuss your pro wrestling needs and goals, or you can book directly through the website. That's an option too. I'm going to be updating. I'm going to be adding stuff. I'm going to be adding stuff for seasoned professional wrestlers. My goal throughout 2025 is to continue both in a character and wrestling in-ring sort of establishment and to continue to build on the future of the Dijak Wrestling Academy. It's dijakwrestling.com. All the socials are at Dijak Wrestling. All my socials are at Dijak FYE. It's all very easy and very streamlined. I'm on most platforms, YouTube, Twitch. I'll be doing Twitch stuff soon. Man, I'm so busy. I'm trying to find time to do all this stuff.
I'll be honest with you. When you said you had 2 kids as well, it made me feel very. I feel very.
Yeah, no. Better more stuff than not enough stuff. But I promise I'm going to stay on top of it. I just need to sort everything out so that it turns into a more, because right now the building stage has been like I'm not a website designer. I'm not a technical aide. I'm not a secretary for answering email. But I'm doing all of these jobs all the same. So, that and I like to think I'm a pretty good dad too, so I'm spending time with my kids and stuff, and I'm a pretty good wrestler too, so like I'm booked all over the world, and I train full-time at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. I got about 8 full-time jobs right now, so yeah.
And you got to sleep at some point, I guess.
Not really.
No time for that.
Not really. That's probably the part of it that gets sacrificed, but yeah, I do have to work out and stay in shape, so that kind of sucks. But yeah, thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting the Dijak Wrestling Academy. I'm truly so appreciative of everyone who gives me the opportunity, and it's such a dual learning experience. I'm very much looking forward to everything in the future. So thank you so much to anyone who's ever come to my merch table or supported me there, or come to a match and cheered for me, booed for me, whatever. I thank you all. I really appreciate all of you.
Oh, amazing.
Awesome.
No, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck for everything for the rest of the year.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.